Say hello to your 2023 Eastern Conference number one seed, Buffalo frickin' what?
Bandits.
Bandits. We're back with another post-game episode of Banditland Boulevard. Trevor Howard, Tony LaMonica, your co-host as usual. Tony, this one, you were talking about this before we went on the air when you said fingernails non-existent, the edge of our lips non-existent. We're just biting everything during that game, right?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I could
absolutely.
not watch this game live, but I already knew the outcome of the game watching the highlights, and my heart was still pumping. Like that was how energetic the game was. But 11-10, the Bandits beat their arch nemesis in the Toronto Rock. We like to refer to them as our little brother that sometimes beats their older brother, but things go back to usual. And it
Mhm.
really seems like, I mean, just right out of the gate here, we needed this first overall seed because I know I said last time I'd be okay with the second overall seed, most likely facing against Rochester, but this team, looking back on it, has faced so much adversity
Mhm.
and so much stress with all their starters, essentially all of their starters being injured from one point to another, overcoming all that adversity, winning those crucial games that they need to, especially a lot of those in overtime. It just feels like a Cinderella story going into this playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, with only one game in hand, it could mean the determining point to have first overall, which means that no matter what happens in the situation, if we win this last game in Albany, we take full control of the playoffs. That means we're already got home field advantage in the East. But if determining of the San Diego Seals, if they ended up having more wins than we do, we'd have to go there first and possibly game three if need be. But other than that, let's enjoy this 2-game winning streak. We beat Toronto where it counts. We took over first place at the right time before going into the playoffs and having nonstop home field advantage throughout the entire playoff way until we find out between San Diego and their opponent for the final week. But on a good note, we'd also like to not recommend, we like to acknowledge those who have won their awards for the team and for fan of the year. And also the fact that obviously we knew who our offensive player of the year was going to be Dane Smith,
Of
or it could have
course.
been Josh Byrne because he had more goals than him. Other than that, Dane Smith got the award for that. For defensively, it was Nick Weiss, our assistant captain, number 20 in your programs, to let you know that he has been helping the defense be who they are
He's the
as of
man.
right now.
He's the man.
To the rookie of the year, to number 8, Dylan Robinson, who has rightfully earned his rookie sensation year. Not to mention what like Tehoka has last season.
Rookie
Dylan has
Thunder
brought that
Tehoka. Yep, I remember that last year.
transitional kind of way and
Yep.
honestly has been a go-to transition player, also to score when needed and to set up when needed. And of course, most likely 2 more awards, an unsung hero. Either way, I could have said Ian McKay, possibly Chase now that he was back, but they gave it to Kyle Buchanan. And I have to agree with this call because this man, Kyle Buchanan, who was a workhorse of this team, who fights for those loose balls, who gets the plays started in the offense, and he has produced points when we've never asked him to, and he just finds a way to set up the plays that we need for our scorers. And not only that, but he can score himself, and that's a huge stud move out of Kyle Buchanan. And also for the MVP, we've probably said this time and time again that no matter what age you are and you still play the position till like you're 20 years old again, Matt freaking Vince, who has earned the right to be known as MVP, especially in the last minute of this game, who made 4 to 5 unbelievable stops in a row, ladies and gentlemen.
Including
That's
a big
consecutive.
butterfly, a butterfly save with 15 seconds left to seal the win, too.
To seal that
Huge
win. And
highway
boy, did
robbery
Matt
from Matt
really
Vince.
proved it to us all. And that's unreal. And he deserved it most likely. But also, and I know I'm kind of taking too long with these, but that's okay. And I apologize
It's
for
all
that.
right, man. No, you
But
go
we'd
ahead.
also,
Go ahead.
but we'd also like to give a big shout out to the 2023 Fan of the Year, who has been to almost every single game from past to present. We'd like to acknowledge Jeremy Huck, who has
Big
the
J.
helmet with the gold light on his helmet. who has been to a lot of Bandits games and season ticket holder for sure. And now he's got his daughter going at it too with the helmet with the light on it. So
Yep.
God bless you, sir. Congratulations on winning 2023 Fan of the Year.
Yeah, we love our fans. We love the Bandit fans, and we love to see the different variety of Bandit fans too. I mean, you have Kiss Guy, you got the Boxhead crew down in section 119, I want to say, 119.
Yep.
You
And don't
got,
forget the boys in the 112 or 113 as well with Tony
yeah,
Phelan, those guys.
you got the Flagsmen down there that go to every road game, every
Dennis
home game.
Gore.
Love those guys. Big Dennis over there. Kiss Guy, I already mentioned him, but obviously Jeremy and his daughter. I mean, you can see them through any part of the arena with the red lights on their head. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
We love seeing that. We love seeing them in Party in the Plaza too. I got the chance to meet him, which was great last year in Party in the Plaza, which was awesome. And if he's listening, we'd love to have you on the show to talk about that
Absolutely,
award.
Jeremy. Come
That'd
on
be
board.
great. Yeah, talk about that award, talk about that experience that you had, because I couldn't imagine taking the field with a bunch of the Bandits there at center field with 16,000 strong in attendance cheering you on. So that must have been pretty cool. If you ever want to come on, feel free to shoot us a text, DM, anything. We'd love to have you on and talk about that experience. But the Bandits did win this game 11-10. And I told you this before we went on the air, Chase Fraser breakout game. His first breakout game of 2023. He's been battling injuries here and there. He's kind of been a little bit snake bitten in 2023. But he really came back with a vengeance. A team that he normally plays outstanding against. A team that he makes his bitch every time he plays him, and that's the Toronto Rock. I mean, not only did he score a hat trick, but did you see that? I don't know where you're listening, why you're watching this from, TSN, SportsCenter, ESPN Top 10 goal, where he scoops the ball on the rebound, one hand on the stick. I mind you, one hand on the stick, through the legs, finds the corner of the net, and he's celebrating, crossing his arms like this, waiting for Dane to give him a hug. I mean, it was one of the best goals I've ever seen. And I was there in the 2019 quarterfinal game where Josh Byrne and Dane Smith did the hidden ball trick, and then where Josh Byrne did the behind the back goal. But that was something I've never seen before. And it was such an amazing goal. The crowd was going insane. The announcers on the TSN feed, I believe it was, who were pulling for the Rock, were going insane. I mean, they were the guys that were calling Tom Schreiber Captain America and everything. So I'm like, all right, bias towards the Rock. Bias towards the Rock as usual. Or if that is his nickname, I'm not sure. But
it is.
They gave Chase Fraser and the Bandits all the respect, which for the first time in a long time, it feels like on ESPN Plus, the announcers have really ever shown that. So I tip my hat to them.
Yeah, it was a real good shock to hear about how well they were saying, oh my God, these are highlight ESPN goals for sure. I mean, Chase Fraser coming into this game, like you said, it was like their kryptonite. Toronto couldn't take him, basically because not only for his skill on the floor, but also because they can't stand his smile. They can't stand his
physicality.
And his physicality he brings to that table is really, really important to this offense too, as well. Like I said before, if you're missing one piece of the family, it's hard to, commit to anything. But with having everybody on board, now with the time being near the playoffs, the injury bug is finally saying, okay, we've done our thing. We can now go away now. So hopefully for this last game coming up, we stay healthy and we march into the playoffs at home May 6th at 7 p.m. We're still waiting to see who we play, but we will find out after this week for sure.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And I mean, just going back to this game too, the physicality in general, Steve Priolo getting into a fight in the first half, which was big. Our first half offense is still kind of lacking, which I might find a little bit concerning, but not really, because I mean, this was the number one team in the East. And I don't care if they beat him by 100. I don't care if they beat him by 5. I don't care if they beat him by 1. I mean, they took down the best team in the East, and that's all you can ask for. I think that fight, though, really turned the tide around and really sort of gave a little spark to that offense, saying, like, okay, we need to turn this game around. It's 2-0. All right, it's 3-1, whatever. It's 5-2. Let's get into this little scrap. Let's turn this around. That's how the Colorado Mammoth beat us earlier this year. We got into a fight with them when they were down 4-1 going into the second, and they come back and win that game handily. We come back in this one, and we got this one guy. I don't know if you saw it on Bandits Mafia, but some guy. I don't know if he's a member of a Toronto group or whatever, but this Toronto fan was saying, I'm sick of these he said, quote, I'm sick of these fraudulent bandits winning every game by 1 goal. I hope they lose in the first round of the playoffs or something like that. I hope they get embarrassed. I'm like, okay, first of all, to school you on a little bit of Bandits knowledge here, they won 3 out of their 4 championship titles by 1 goal. 3 out of 4, they won those by, with exception of 1996, where they won that game 15-10. They won the rest of their games by a goal. Whether it's Johnny T in overtime, whether it's Darius Kilgore in '93, whether it's Mark Stainhouse in 2008, they won those
Yep.
games by 1 goal.
By one.
And
Yep.
keep in mind that Toronto is the best team. I don't care if we win by 1 goal against Toronto. We scored more than 10 goals. Matt Vince looked shut down. The defense looked locked in that second half. Maybe not towards the
Absolutely.
last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, but for the most part, they really held stuff down. And
Yep.
let's be honest, the referees were letting Toronto get away with murder in that first half. They were calling
Oh, that was
everything
ugly.
on us, and they were calling nothing on them.
Right. It was brutal because just to watch it there live right in front of you, and you can see the things going on, especially the refs that can't see. And I mean, it was like seeing the Munchkin Land kids trying to, there was 2 refs that are super tiny. And I'm like, you're going to let these 2 guys ref the game and you have one tall guy take care of the rest? I mean, that's ridiculous. It's like kids trying to referee out there. They didn't even know what the hell to call or do or say.
The no call on Tehoka in front of the net was horrible. The no call on Tehoka. Horrible.
There was so much you could probably point the finger to, and I was literally cussing every word in the book you can actually imagine.
I bet.
In row 2, and I'm sure they heard me, but it's the fact of, come on, buckle down, make things fair, and call it even, but don't be one-sided. It was like one-sided the whole first half for Toronto, and I'm not saying that to be like a baby or just to say it, but you can see it for yourself.
It's right in front of you.
And it's right in front of you. And if you can agree to disagree, that's fine. You have entitled to your opinion. But other than that, you got to make it fair. You got to call it down the line. I don't care if we call penalties on us. Make it sure it calls a penalty on them, too, to make it easy. Or not easy, but even. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. Even. But it ended up being 17 minutes apiece. But still, it came down to where the stronger team won. And that's what we did. That's what we have become in this year. We are a second half team, and we have proven it once again.
And I give Toronto props too. I mean, we don't like Toronto being Bandits podcasters, but we like talking about some good players in this league, and Tom Schreiber knows how to score against us a lot. Corey Small knows how to score against us a lot. Nick Rose, for the most part, even though we won the season series 2-1 against them, the only games we won were a 12-10 win and an 11-10 win. We lost 18-7. Nick Rose kept his team in every single game, so you got to tip your cap to him, to the whole team, and Scott Loeffler and all the other guys that do the PR work for the Bandits. I mean, I saw Scotty put out on Facebook that 16,027 fans were in Banditland for a regular season game. 16,000 fans. And that's only a sneak peek preview of what these playoffs are going to look like. I mean, we're going to be seeing, I've been seeing in Facebook and Bandits Mafia a lot about how are we going to push for more tickets. That's 16,000 fans in a regular season game. I can only expect in the first round and the second round in the East for games 1 and maybe 3, but the Eastern Conference quarterfinals, the one and done game, I think that is going to be a 19,070 crowd if I can predict it right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, now that the people are actually talking more about lacrosse and the word is getting out there, especially having ESPN cover and TSN cover, and for our local stations too as well. This game has grown to becoming one of the biggest major sports now in the country and possibly in the continent. So hopefully we get the recognition that we deserve. And I'm sure the players appreciate it. I'm sure the coaches who have played the game and can't play, well, I'm sure they can play, but if they can't play anymore because their role is now to be the leaders in coaching. But now this sport is finally growing to where we should be at, or where we could be at. I mean, there's probably more cities and teams that would love to join to get more and more opportunities for other states to have their recognizable team and represent the city that they represent. So again, we might see coming back Boston. That would be something cool to see. Chicago, another city that we'd love to see. We already got New York. I was going to say the New York Titans, but they already got the Riptide. Keep them.
Bring a team back to Minnesota. Put a team back in Minnesota.
I mean, I would love to
Edmonton.
see that too.
Yeah.
Bring them all back. That would
That's
be
right.
great.
That's right. But
Albany, yeah, Albany could go back to being the attack if they wish. But
yeah,
Firewolves, don't give up on your team.
right.
Yes, they're a young team, but they're out there. They're
Anaheim
here.
Storm, Pittsburgh Crossfire,
Yes.
Orlando Titans, New York Titans. Bring them back. I don't even care. Portland Lumberjacks, right? Like, just you can bring them all back. Detroit Turbos, bring those guys back. Why not? But we did forget to mention two very, very important milestones. One, congratulations to the man, Matt Vince, 48 career wins for number 48. That's the most in franchise history as a Bandit in Bandits goaltending history. He passes Steve Dietrich. He passes
Anthony Cosmo,
Pat O'Toole, and Kenny Montour, who are all pretty big names in the Bandits organization. What we need to do now is win him a title. If we win him a title, there's no doubt in my mind his 48 gets retired in the rafters. You can slander me all you want. You can slander me all you want, but a championship ring will be that insurance to get his number up in the rafters. Of course, after number 9 gets put up there. I mean, let's be real.
Have both the same year. I don't care.
Same year. I really don't care. But John Gertler, 500. What was it?
355
games, I think it was.
350.
Mixing my numbers up there. 530, 350.
350
games for John Gertler too. It would be nice to see the Bandits get a championship win for him too. But congratulations to John Gertler. Such a great career. He's been the voice of the Bandits from the very beginning. Chris Swenson, 30 years in the business too. They honored
awesome
Chris,
job, man.
the man Swenson before the game started. So big congratulations to them. There's no way on a night where Matt Vince can win 48 and this dude wears 48. And on a John Gertler 350th game, Swenny's 30th anniversary, doing play-by-play in arena for the team, there's no way the Bandits would lose that game, no matter if they were down 2-0 and at the end of the first, or if down 5-2 later on. The Bandits put the team on their back. You saw the secondary scoring. Kyle Buchanan, Chase Fraser, Ian McKay getting goals. This team, injured or not, healthy or not, this team has what it takes to go far into the playoffs. And if you're going to get so hell-bent on winning every game by one, I think it's time to look at some of the Toronto Rock players in the mirror too, because if that's the number one thing you got to criticize about the Bandits, this is a pretty damn good freaking lacrosse team.
Yeah, Toronto has definitely proven to be, a toe-to-toe type of opponent that you don't want to go toe-to-toe with. It's the fact that it's like a boxing match. It's going to come down to a decision to see who the better team is between Buffalo and between Toronto. I mean, it's always been the rival every single year, and it's been unbelievable ride 100%. For both teams. And you know what? That's what makes the game exciting, is that the fact that these two teams, really give it all they have every time they set foot on that floor. And it's unbelievable to witness. If you go there and you see it for yourself, it's an amazing. If you watch it on TV, it's an awe moment. It's because you can be like, wow, now I can tell my kids, I can tell my grandkids, I can tell whoever that this game of lacrosse has become a part of my life and is a part of thousands to millions in life. It's
a bunch of fans.
Yeah. It's really, that's what you want. That's what you want to grow, especially with a sport that has been set aside for it's lacrosse. It's like, it's nothing. You'd be surprised how many fans and people follow and watch and want to play and just get out there and prove themselves too, how good they can do. And, that is why we all love the sport of lacrosse, because it's grown in us and in everybody else. It's unreal. Because, folks, if you have not experienced it yet, have not gone to a game or have watched it on TV, you better start now, because it's only going to get better from here.
I think so, too. And we are witnessing, even though we haven't won a championship since 2008, you're getting pretty much, I don't want to say golden age. I'll give them silver age of Bandits lacrosse, if that makes any sense. I think the golden age would be solidified if you win this title this year or in the next coming years, because they could have been, if you think about it, COVID stole 2 years. And if they won it in 19 and they held on in 2022, we're looking at one of the top dynasties since the 2010s Nighthawks.
Correct.
But if you just stay with it, stick to your game plan, just take it one game at a time, and hopefully you don't run into Colorado this year because they already have clinched a playoff spot. But you got some talented teams out west, and you certainly can't overlook some of these teams in the east too. So it's going to be a fun finish the rest of the way. But I think we got to go into our players of the game against the
Yes,
Toronto
I
Rock
agree.
from week 21. I'm going to
Mhm.
go with, the man with the ESPN highlights, 95, Kachow, Lightning McQueen, Chase Fraser for my player of the game. This dude, hopefully he takes this momentum, takes it into the next game against Albany. Hopefully takes it
Mhm.
into the playoffs. That was a big confidence boost for him. Chase Fraser is my player of the game, without a doubt.
Well, I'm going to go with another theory, and I know I could say Matt Vince because he's obviously earned the rights to be
Honorable
MVP for
mention,
this team.
48 wins for
Honorable
48. Yep.
mention.
hmm
Exactly. I can mention Dane Smith for being the offensive player because he had 7 points against Toronto. But I'm not going to go with that. I'm going to still go with what I said last week, and that is Kyle Buchanan, the unsung hero. Yes, he only had a goal, but he also had 3 apples. And why? Because he worked for those 3 apples. He worked for like the entire time. He has dug deep, whatever he has left in his system to be the best unsung hero we can possibly have. And he is like a stud on this team. And I have to give it up to number 91, Kyle Buchanan.
He's the man. Kyle Buchanan is a
Gotta be.
beast. He's been so good the last 3 weeks. He's been that spark in that offense when they were struggling a lot. So that's
Yep.
big credit to Kyle Buchanan. But the thing is, and put the league on notice right here, Chase Fraser's back, and that should scare a lot of teams. That should really scare a lot of teams. Matt Vince has been locking down the side of the post. He's not really been over the shoulder Vince for the past couple weeks. He's been locking that side in. He's been looking good too. So you guys got to look out for some solid goaltending, solid defense. And this offense is waking up at the right
Mm-hmm.
time. This offense is waking up at the right time. Put the league on notice. We're not dead. We never died. We may have
No.
been almost in a coma later or in the middle part of that season offensively, but we're back. We're alive. We're kicking, and we're gonna take this thing going into the playoffs.
And before we do go, there are a few key things we have to also worry about too. Is that this last following week, Philadelphia, obviously, I don't know if they're still playoff content, but by the records, they are still in content right now, being at 8-9. Tied with the Georgia Swarm. They're 1 game back from Halifax for that 4th and final spot. Now, Philadelphia proven in overtime that they have won against Albany to keep their playoff hopes alive, but they have to face off against Rochester in the Blue Cross Arena. So that could give them a little bit of a hard time, but they have something to prove to themselves if they want to make do. Also, I think with that win, that would push them to 9-9. Rochester would fall to 10-8. So that means if Halifax will beat Georgia, they may be in 3rd place and Rochester may fall to 4.
Yeah.
So again, that could be still scary.
That's just one of the many scenarios that could happen.
Right, because this last week is going to determine who will be playing in the first round. It could be Rochester, it could be Halifax, it could be Georgia, it could be Philly. We don't know until this very last week. So guys and gals, if you are watching lacrosse this final week and you want to know who you're going to be playing against, watch every single scenario game you possibly can imagine. Not just us, because this game could determine who the number 1 overall is going to be. And I know San Diego's looking in going, crap, we have to beat Colorado to have home field advantage for the entire duration of the playoffs. Now, Colorado, if they decide they win, they are going to be possibly number 3 in the standings.
Yeah.
Because after Panther City losing, I believe their last game to Calgary, they could go down to 4 and they might see San Diego in the first round.
Yeah, it's all crazy right now, especially with all these scenarios. Now is the time to do scoreboard watching. I mean, we've been saying before, like, don't pay attention to that stuff. Just clinch a playoff spot and do your own thing, control your own destiny. Well, they already have. The Bandits are already first, and they've already locked that in, no matter what they do against Albany. But you can always look and see who that 4th seed is. Now is the time to do some scoreboard watching. But, I mean, let's be real. Albany is the worst team in the East right now, probably the worst team overall in the league. I would love to see this offense gain a little extra spark. You know what? Why not? Score 14, 15, 16 goals on these guys. Call it a season, go 14-4, take it into the playoffs.
That's all you can do. And basically, what you also want to do too, I mean, I know it's our last regular season game, technically speaking, but you also want to be careful and stay healthy. You don't want to have any risks of losing your star players before the first week of the playoffs. So, what I would think, even though it may not be the best suggestion, it could start your backup goaltender maybe in the second half. Maybe play Vince for one half, maybe play Shanahan for the second. I don't know. But if you really want to save your people, start your second string and let's see what they can do too. I mean, especially now with a team that technically has nothing to lose, and neither do we, technically speaking, because we just won first place in our division. But maybe this might be where Johnny T says, all right, guys, we've already clinched first. We've already got home field for the East side. I don't know. Do you take a risk and do that, or keep your main starters into like not possibly get hurt? But I don't want to judge that or predict that because that would be wrong. But what do you think, Trevor? Should we start our second stringers this next game, or should we just say, let the starters go and let them play and let them do their own thing?
I would let the starters go for at least the first half.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then, you know what? I don't even care, like, depending on the outcome at the half. I don't care if it's 8-8, or I don't care if we're losing. I don't care if we're winning. Sub them out. I mean, put some of the backups in there.
Yeah.
Goaltending, I'm not sure what you do with Shanahan or Vince.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put Vince in any danger going into the playoffs, so that's kind of up to Johnny T.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think you do start your starters. You come out swinging hard. Let your backups and some of your depth guys try to close out the game and hold on to the lead.
Well, that's all I guess we can only wait and see what Johnny T does, because he's been like the go-to guy to decide of what is best for the team. So, you know what? You've gotten first place. There's a reason why you're the head coach. And congrats to you guys again for winning the Eastern Division. So all we can see now is the road to the championship. And it starts May 6th, 7 p.m. If you guys haven't got your tickets, please do so at this time. For the season ticket holders, you better go get your tickets because you're the first dibs on those. So go get your tickets, otherwise they're going to be taken. And on top of that, we'd also like to thank our sponsor, Mitchell's Tavern, at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. If you guys love beef on wick and other bar foods, you go there to have great food, amazing service, and mention our boys from Banditland Boulevard. That is myself, Tony LaMonica, a.k.a. Boxhead 98TL, and that over there is Trevor Hauer. Let them know that you were sent by us. And also, for those who are watching us on YouTube, we'd like to see you hit that like and subscribe button.
Please.
Also, to hit that notification bell. So if you ever want to catch videos like us on board, please do so at this time. And also, if you like to listen in on any device possible to see Spotify.fm or Anchor, give us that 5-star rating. And you know what? Let's see how high we can get. We've got a lot of followers so far. What do you think, Trev?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see like how much success we can gain during this championship run. Hopefully we'll skyrocket a little bit. That'd be pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm. So for that, guys, we'd also like to, after closing out next week's episode for the last regular season game, we'd like to also give a thank you to everyone who's been listening, who has been watching. We personally love you guys. Without you guys, we are what we are. We just do what we can do to bring you in on the Buffalo Bandits stats and score sheets and all that sort of jazz. And we love you for listening in and watching us. So again, we'd like to really appreciate you all and say thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much. And we appreciate the fact that we can have a solid team during our first 2 years of this show. Really kind of carry us in these rankings. So that's awesome.
So we can't thank you guys enough. So thank you. And also for the fans that have been asking to be on the show, please message both myself or Trevor.
Yeah, we just recently had Dan on. We just recently had Dan Dudziak on.
We're going to have more people on. So we would like to have more and more people. If Jeremy Huck, if you're listening in, we'd love to have you on board, get you an interview with the fan of the year of 2023.
Sounds good to me, man. I think that just leaves us with one more sentence that's maybe around 1, 2, 3 words.
Yes, sir.
For the first seed, let's
go
Bandits.
Bandits.
Let's go.